Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Anything you want to talk about today, folks? But I've got to start the show with some very disturbing, very grim news, okay? Bad news indeed. I have to break it to you. Sorry. But every Canadian premier, every Canadian mayor, and the head of the CBC, and 61 other Canadians have just been served notice by Putin. They are banned from entering Mother Russia. Well, Father Russia, too, for that matter. No doubt it's going to come as a great shock, disappointment to everyone affected. In fact, all Canadians, I am sure, are deeply disturbed. Any news about you, John? Are you on Putin's shit list?
I haven't checked. Hang on, let me just get over to Google right now. Am I? Yep, I am.
You're one of the unholy 61, right?
There goes my vacation plan.
Can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine banning away 61 Canadians? Like, there's no, I don't. You must identify them somehow. How he would find out who these people are? I guess my name may be there. I mean, I've badmouthed Putin.
Well, let me Google you too. Hang on.
I would imagine anybody that's on Putin's shit list is probably somebody that has gone to one of those dog parks, and they have the little tins there where you put the dog poop, and they stroke out whatever, and they put in Putin what is it?
Putin, yep.
Putin.
You know what? Being banned from Russia right now, I would wear that as a badge of honor, frankly.
It's you might as well laugh. I mean, what's happening in Ukraine is grim. There's no question about it. But I mean, it just shows you how ridiculous this guy is. Dangerous, but ridiculous. On another topic, folks, how does having to pay the full cost of people getting free rides on public transit in this city grab you? Make no mistake about it, okay? Free bus, free O-train rides are on the way. The woke people are speaking. They are demanding it, and woke people these days get what they want. We poor, suffering taxpayers already heavily subsidize OC transport. A lot of people don't know that. There's no way that the fares that people pay come anywhere close to covering the cost of OC transport. Nowhere close. But at least they contribute. But now the loony left, the woke folk, they are demanding that, well, one of the reasons, of course, this is really interesting, is that ridership, as you know, is way down. And of course, this goes against the grain when it comes to the environmentalists. Everybody should either be riding a freaking a bicycle, pumping a scooter, walking, or, I don't know, wheelchairing or whatever, or taking public transit. And if you're not taking public transit, you are a bad person. If they had their way, you would be banned not only from Russia, as a matter of fact, you might be welcome in Russia, you would be banned from Ottawa. Now, you wouldn't be banned from paying taxes. So the woke people want free bus transportation, free O-train, et cetera, and you can be sure it's going to come. I just wonder how you feel about this, having to pay the full cost. If you have to drive your car, like we don't have bus service out here, I have to pay full city taxes, and along with tens of thousands of other people, no bus service. And if I were to drive a car downtown, I got to pay for it. I got to pay the tax to maintain the road. and I got to pay exorbitant parking fees. But if you take an OC Transpo bus, according to the woke folk, it should be free. I just wonder how you feel about that. I'm sure many of you will welcome that. Excuse me, the old cough. The COVID is still riding high in this house. Um, let me ask you another question here. I guess there's some good news from OC Transpo. The original plan was, as you know, to buy 76 fully electric buses. Cost more than double that of a traditional diesel bus. A number of people want to say, wait a minute, hold it. Maybe we should test these things first. It gets winter, the snow falls in this city. Gets a little cold. We don't know how these buses operate in the cold. No, 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 said the city. The woke folk at the city said, no, no, 76. We're ordering 76. Cost of tens of millions of dollars. More than double what it would cost to get regular buses. But somehow or other, some common sense is filtered through. Not only that, I guess they're broke. So they've reduced the number from 76 to only 26. Now, I guess this is a small victory, but to me, the real question is not should we be reducing from 76 to 26, but why aren't we reducing from 76 to 0? Why are we buying electric buses? Let me ask you some questions, and you can disagree with my answers, but I'm going to give them to you anyway. Okay. Do these electric buses provide better service than diesel buses? No. Are they faster than diesel buses? No. Do they carry more people than diesel buses? No. Are they cheaper to run than diesel buses? Not in your life, especially when you consider the original cost. And there's one thing it seems to me that the woke folk seem to forget. Somehow or other, there is an assumption that once you get these electric buses and you get electric cars, that travel from then on is free. You don't have to pay for the fuel. The only problem to that is that these buses and cars don't run on fairy dust, okay? They don't run on elephant poop, okay? They run on electricity. And how do we generate electricity? Well, in this province, we create a good deal of it with nuclear, which the woke folk want to shut down. And we create a good deal of it through natural gas, which is a fossil fuel. So this idea that somehow or other, if you're riding an electric bus or electric car, you're really helping the environment is nonsense. As a matter of fact, there are an increasing number of studies. When you factor everything in, all of the mining that has to go on to create these batteries, produce these batteries, lithium, et cetera, tremendous amount of energy used to mine all of these rare elements to create these batteries. The fact that these batteries have a lifespan, and God knows what happens. What do we do with a spent battery? What do you do with it? So when you factor everything in, I suspect, and in fact, there's growing evidence that if you drive a little Honda or a smart car, or even just a regular sedan car, automobile, internal combustion engine, the old-fashioned, that you probably are helping the environment more, or at least are less damaging to the environment than if you are driving an electric vehicle. And the same holds true for buses. I am open to argument, and I have put this to a number of the environmentalists, and they just absolutely discount the possibility that electric buses, cars, etc., are bad for the environment. You've got to factor in everything, plus the fact that they burn fossil fuels. It takes fossil fuel. We do not create nearly enough wind or solar to power these electric buses. It's not only the cost and the damage to run the buses. In order for us to accommodate all of these electric cars and buses, etc., it's going to cost, they tell us that the cost of re-engineering the entire electrical grid of this country will cost us over $1 trillion. There's $1 trillion that could go for healthcare, education, etc. I've gone through these things before. to recreate the electrical grid in order to accommodate electrical cars and buses. So in the end, if you think about it, I know that very few woke people really think, but if you do think about it, when you factor everything in, I'll bet you dollars to donuts that your Honda is easier on the environment than an electric car or an electric bus. I just throw that out. You may have some comments on that. It's just, you know what it is? It's just virtue signaling. The only reason we are buying electric buses, they don't provide better service. It's just that it looks good. The mayor and the city council can say, this is what we're doing for the environment. Come on. What difference is it going to make running electric buses? I mean, we only create 1.6% of the world's emissions anyway, and our forests suck up far more than that. So, I mean, come on, spending extra millions. You know what? We should be spending those millions of dollars to make sure that people in long-term care can get more than 1 or 2 baths a week. Now we would be doing something instead of bloody electric buses. If you could show me the electric buses in any way, they don't even smell better, apparently. It's all bullshit, folks. So much of it going around. Virtue signaling in full bloom, okay? Now, on another issue here. How does the cost of food grab you these days? Whoo-wee. You do the shopping in your household? Whew. Do you do the eating in your household? I don't do the shopping, but I do a little bit of eating, even though, as you know, it all tastes like styrofoam, but nonetheless, I got to eat. So do you. My Debbie, who pays very close attention to this, believes that the average cost of food in the past year to year, has increased somewhere between 25 and 35%. And from some of the figures that I see, I think she's probably very close to it. You may have a different idea. You may think it's less. You may think it's more. But let me ask you this. How are you managing this? Now in Ottawa, if you got a fixed income, excuse me again, and you're in a fixed income or whatever it is, you may be okay. But for a lot of people in this country, I don't know how people are doing it. And if the price of food's gone up 25, 35% in a year, what are you going to do if it goes up another 25, 35% in another year? Are you going to be able to afford to put food on the table? This is crazy. The inflation now, latest figures for inflation, if you believe it, 6.7%. That's the highest it's been since 1991. And one of the reasons, not the sole reason, but one of the reasons, fairly major reason, is the huge spending binge that Trudeau has gone on, and he's continuing. So you may have some thoughts on that. And finally, let me ask you this. Why in the world is Jean Charest running for the leadership of the Conservative Party? He doesn't stand a ghost of a chance to win. He knows that. He's a nice enough guy, both as a liberal and as a conservative. He's got a lot of baggage. Well, anybody that's been in politics as long as he has got a lot of baggage, but he has a lot of baggage, okay? He's yesterday's man. Why is he running? He knows he can't win. His supporters know he can't win. What's the purpose here? Do you have any ideas as to what's really going on? I've been racking my brain and say, have the Liberals put him up to this? But I don't know what the Liberals would have to gain, unless they feel that he may drain enough votes away from Pierre. Because I'm going to tell you right now, despite what the media says, that it's Pierre Poilievre that the Liberals are scared crapless of, okay? They realize that Pierre probably can win it hands down. So I don't know if Charest's been put up to this by the Liberals in hopes it will drain enough votes away from Pierre so he won't win. I don't know. You may have some thoughts. John, once again, go through how people get in touch with us.
Right on. Whether you're following on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or Twitter, wherever you would post a comment ordinarily, you post it there, and we'll get as many up on the screen as we can. Whatever I can't get on the screen and read to Lowell, of course, I do forward to him in an email at the end of the day. We also appreciate your phone calls. We would love to hear more phone calls on the show. 613-413-2217. You can text that number as well. Whenever you're ready, Lowell, I'm good to go.
Fire away, my boy. Fire away.
All right. Chris just put this in moments ago. He says, Lowell, the biggest increase I've seen on food is on sales. My wife has kept our costs down for years through coupons and price matching. Now, even the best sales are nominal. And for us, our groceries have increased over 50% year over year.
You know, one of the things that Debbie has noticed, and she's pointed it out to me, and I'm sure you've noticed as well, that in many cases, and I mean many cases, the actual cost may not have gone up that much, but the size has gone down. We got some bacon yesterday or a couple of days ago. It's supposed to be, I don't know, it's supposed to be a certain weight. I swear to God, there were only about 6 strips of bacon in the damn package. And yet it's the same price that we've been paying for the past 2 or 3 weeks. Go ahead, John.
Thank God I'll be able to take the free bus to go get groceries, says Jerry.
It's not free. See, there's another misconception.
Right.
Hey, folks, you know what? Nothing is free, particularly when you got to pay union wages to people who drive those buses. And we're spending over $1 million a bus to put electric batteries in it. Go ahead.
Hey, by the way, it's not just the cost of our food going up. My dog's bag of food increased by $15.
So from what to what, roughly?
It's now $107 for a bag of dog food.
How long would that last your dog? Now, it's a big dog.
2 weeks.
You're kidding me.
No.
I'm going to tell you, like, even I have to buy straw and feed for my pigeons, and it's going out of sight as well. The
sure.
cost of straw has in about a year has almost tripled. Okay, for a bale of straw. Go ahead, John.
All right, let's go to the top of the list here. James says the homeless will use the free bus rides in the winter as quote unquote shelter. Ray says free bus and free license plates. Where are they going to get the lost revenue? Ray asks. Free is never free, says David. Craig says free public transit is absolutely ridiculous. My property taxes will go up at least $3,000 the first year. Free bus fare will go hand in hand with their $10 daycare. The taxpayer has unlimited money, it seems. Chrissy's on Twitch. She says, do they think people won't be able to afford driving a car in the future with these gas prices too? Forced to take the bus? I bet masks won't be mandatory. Seriously, what's the catch? Nothing is usually free.
Talking about high cost of everything, there is no question that the cost of appliances has climbed. And one of the reasons is that the government, this is the federal government, Trudeau government, has mandated that everything has got to be Energy Star, which means that in many cases, some of the cheaper models of appliances are no longer available or won't be very long. So it's more important than ever with the cost of everything that you shop around and get the best prices you can, which is why I urge you to at least shop Shields. If you're in the market for appliances of any kind, small appliances, major appliances, maybe you're totally outfitting your kitchen. They'll give you a hell of a deal if you are. But check out the prices. You will be very surprised, very pleased at how competitive Shields are. And of course, there are a number of other advantages. Number one, they're local. It's family operated since 1947, an excellent reputation. When they say something, they mean it. They will always tell you the truth. If they don't have it or whatever it is, you know that if Shields tells you this, that's what's going to happen. Good folks, and very, very reasonable prices. Shields.ca. Back to you, John.
All right, to text 613-413-2217. Free transit fares is just another example of how out of touch our city council is with the reality of the cost of living. Someone isn't providing them with the fact that property taxes paying for free fares will come from a lot of retired elderly people that are having a hard enough time to make ends meet.
Especially when you consider that they are deliberately more than doubling the cost of a bus. They've decided to go to electric buses. For what reason? If electric buses in any way provided a better service, faster service, more comfortable service than diesel, I'd say, well, maybe there's a reason for it. But we're talking about, folks, we're talking more than double the cost per bus. Why? What's the advantage of an electric bus? They still burn fuel. It's electricity, but they burn fuel in order to create electricity. Think of all of the energy that's gone into making that bus and those bloody big batteries. And my other question to you environmentalists, all you woke folk, those batteries burn out, cars and buses. What do we do with them when they're burned out? How do we dispose of them? We throw them in the dump? What does that do to the soil? What does that do to the environment? I'd love someone to answer that for me. No environmentalist has ever been able to respond or has been willing to respond to that question. What do we do with a dead battery? Go ahead, John.
All right, email to Lowell at blasttheradio.com. Lowell, hey, food and hydro bills have become outrageous. People on disability and seniors are being hit hard and may have to resort to eating tins of cat food before long, says Lisa.
I don't know how you can afford cat food.
Well, we just talked about that, didn't we? Kim says, absolutely, John. My 5-pound bag of dog food went up $7 as of yesterday.
Wow.
5 pounds. There you go. Ray says Dollarama is now going up to $5. I think he's being silly there. Peter says, look at Coca-Cola. It used to be 24 cans, then down to 18, now up to 22. People will only pay a certain sweet spot price. Cheese slices was 24, now 22. Corleen says Andrea Horvath wants free contraceptives for everybody because apparently nobody should have to pay $30 a month. Kim says, no damn way. I'm in the burbs, no buses here, and I'm sick of paying taxes for other people's benefits. I've been in a bus twice in my life. No way, she says. $800,000 hybrid buses lasted 5 years, says David, and now they're in the scrapyard.
Well, these new buses are a lot more than $800,000. These new buses, electric, are well over $1 million. And I'll bet you by the time we get them, the cost will even be higher than that. Not only that, we're not sure how well they will work here. And I'm not even sure if we have as yet sufficient trained technicians, mechanics, to deal with them. I've asked OC Transpo this and never got an answer. Do you have enough technicians? If we, when the original plan was to buy 76 all electric buses. So I wrote OC Transpo and I said, do you have sufficient skilled tradespeople, mechanics, etc., to handle 76 electric buses? I never got an answer. I asked them again, second time, never got an answer. I suspect that we don't have the kind of skilled people required to deal with that many buses. Whether they can deal with 26, I don't know. They won't answer me. Go ahead, John.
All right, let's go back to text. Again, the number here is 613-413-2217. All good points today, Lowell. Yes, the cost of food and gas has gone through the roof. Yes, the bacon packages are smaller as well as other things. I ate at Burger King recently after not doing so for a couple of years, and the Whopper is thinner. It's all bun now. I can attest to that. As for Charest, to me, he is a liberal, just there to probably split the votes. All right. Craig says Charest left office in 2012 with a cloud over his administration. The Quebec Liberal Party was facing numerous allegations of corruption. Corlin says Watson said they're going to install 700 wind turbines outside Ottawa to handle the extra power required for the EV buses.
That's fine. But can I ask you a question? Anybody that supports that? Okay. Today is not a bad day. The wind is blowing, and we're getting a little bit, about 15% of our requirements from wind. But there are other days when we don't get any. So what do we do then? Well, I'll tell you what we do, folks. We have to generate electricity in all probability from burning natural gas. Go ahead, John.
Dominic says, why don't we just get hybrid buses? Here in Canada, it's too cold for electric cars. Let me see.
What am I going to be? My point is, what's the sense of hybrid? It's all this extra cost. What is the advantage of an electric bus? What's the advantage? Does it provide better service? How? Go ahead, John.
Sorry, Lowell, I know you don't want to hear this, but Poilievre has the best chance of winning Conservative leadership, but not the federal election. Only Charest has a chance of satisfying those liberal, non-conservative voters at the federal election.
See, he's been, this guy, whoever this is that wrote that, you've been reading the media. This is what the media is saying. How the hell does the media know? I mean, he's getting huge crowds, 5,000-6,000 people at various rallies, huge crowd, even in places like Toronto, downtown Toronto. They're flocking around him. But somehow or other, the media, the Toronto Star, the Globe and Mail, etc., Ottawa Citizen, has decided, well, he'll win the PC, but he can't win the country. Oh, really? Oh, okay. So you know what, folks? Let's just forget the election, okay? I mean, if he can't win, let's just forget it. Let's not have a vote. Go ahead, please, John.
That's what I want, a prime minister, because the media said.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa says, guys like Maxime Bernier and Jean Charest are vote splitters and divisive within the PC party. Both are out for their own interests. Here's an email from Rob in Carlton Place. I do the shopping and the prices are scary. I would like to offer 2 important tips for shoppers. Number 1, watch the scanned prices. I can tell you that at least every second time I go to the store, there is at least one price that's scanned higher than the shelf tag. You really have to watch. And number 2, the grocers are getting very deceptive. Watch the shelf tags closely. You might see a big price in bold letters for a bag of vegetables, thinking that it's the price tag, but if you look closely, you'll see a tiny price per pound in the bottom corner of the tag. Very deceiving. It's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, there's no question. My grandfather used to say, if you watch the pennies, the dollars will follow. Now, we don't have pennies anymore, but this is true. If you've got to be careful. Now, it could be, like as I mentioned yesterday, Kelly Egan was upset that he got a check back from the provincial government. He called it creepy. Well, if you're rich like Kelly Egan and a good many other people, I guess the price of food and so forth doesn't really bother you. However, if you're a working person, it may bother you. Go ahead, John.
Kevin says, does no one remember how they pushed electric heating during the 70s?
Live better electrically.
Oh, that's
I
right.
remember that. Oh God, what a catchphrase that was. Live better electrically. Everybody put in baseboard heaters, and along came gasoline wind, and they were so expensive. There were more baseboard heaters ripped out under gasoline wind than the world has ever seen. It was really astonishing.
Let's go to Anne. She says, I can see what Pierre Poilievre is doing. You need a different strategy to be chosen leader of the CPC than to run in the federal election. In my view, Pierre Poilievre is smart enough to know that and will have a message that will resonate with all Canadians in the next election. Dalton says, my taxes will help pay for others' free ride. Will they give gas money to drive my car? Guess no free ride for me. Was there a contract signed regarding the buses, asks Eric. And how much will it cost to get out of it?
Well, I don't know if there's a contract. I would imagine, although if they're reducing the number from 76 to 26, it's a very good question. But to me, the question here is, why are we buying electric buses? What is the advantage? The better for the environment? Well, you'd better prove that to me. I don't buy it for a moment that it's better for the environment. I still say that if you're driving a trusty little Honda there, you're probably giving the climate a better break than a big electric car. Go ahead.
Yes, but the woke folk will be happy with those new buses, and someone maybe is getting a kickback who's liberal. Asks
But
people.
you know what? The woke folk. It's been a long day. The woke folk, they don't ride buses. Come on. That's, you don't see these people on the buses. Give me a break.
They ride bicycles.
Yeah, right.
And scooters. Who's going to push these in the winter when they run out of power? Asks Donald. Carrie asks, where are the electric buses purchased from? Are they tested in a Canadian winter before we purchase them?
Apparently, they're bought from some firm in the West. I should know. I did know, but I've forgotten. They're Canadian made. My understanding is, but I'm still asking the question, and it's interesting to me that nobody so far has even begun to answer my question. What advantage is there to an electric bus? To me, the only criteria should be, if we're going to double the cost, do they provide double the service? The answer clearly is not in your life. Go ahead, John.
Gregory on Facebook says, battery-powered buses will be problematic in the winter. They will lose their charge too fast. Maybe hybrid buses can carry us through until hydrogen-powered vehicles are available. Hydrogen power will eventually be the power source of heavy vehicles.
I'm not sure about that. Go ahead.
Nancy says, electrical buses catch fire. YouTube has a pile of videos. Darlene, just wait until next winter. The ridership on buses will increase. The homeless will ride them to keep warm for free. That's the second person to say that. Let me see. Kevin, we haven't heard from you yet. To replace an electric battery system in a car is between $15,000 and $20,000, which is usually happening after the warranty is up. Sherry says 5 kids in my house, 2 adults. It's costing me $1,000 more for food per month, plus gas. They are killing us. Debbie is right, says Peter. Buy things on special. Watch every single nickel. Bag fees are nuts as well. 6.7% says Eric is nowhere near the true inflated costs we're paying. Corleen says we went from an average of $200 to $400 for groceries and buying exactly the same.
It's interesting. I'm glad I hear that because I'm getting some people who say that as far as they are concerned, the cost of food overall has pretty well doubled in the last year. Now, Debbie believes it's somewhere between 25 and 35%, but some people feel that it's even more than that. And of course, the next question is, where does it end? How far are we going to go on this? At what point do we reach a point where people just simply cannot afford food? Already the food banks are just being overwhelmed. When does it end? How far is this prime minister prepared to take us? John, we're right out of time. I want to thank you all. I'd go a little longer, but the voice once again giving out. Thank you. We will be back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green Podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green Podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.